Hey everyone, how y'all doing? I hope you're having a wonderful day. I myself am running a little bit behind. I meant to have my yearly roundup going up today. Instead, this is going to be my December roundup. The yearly roundup is still coming. I ended up having to take like a whole week off of doing filming because I had a allergic reaction and I had swollen lips. I had like duck lips, and I even had like a rash around my mouth, and it even went up around to my face. You can kind of see there's still some texture here. I still have some ongoing healing happening. But anyway, that's where I have been. I hope that you have all been well. But as it goes, I have a lot of things to talk to you about. So let's get right into it. I have a brush. I don't actually mention brushes very often, but I actually have been super impressed with this one. I've been really enjoying it. So this is from Real Techniques. I picked this up on a whim at TJ Maxx actually. So this is the 091 Hazy Finish Powder Brush. I like it because sometimes these big brushes are too big and sometimes they're too dense. Like sometimes I don't really know what they're supposed to be for. But this one has just the right amount, I feel like, of fluffiness versus denseness. And it works really, really well with powders. I've been using it with my Hourglass powders and also with these Covergirl new products I'll be talking about in a minute. And I really like how much product it lays down, especially for a powder bronzer. So yeah, I don't normally have a lot of brush favorites to mention, but I've been really liking this brush. All right, maybe we should go right into those CoverGirl products. So CoverGirl came out with some new face products, bronzers and blushes. Let's talk about the bronzer first. I am wearing the bronzer. This is the shade 300 Honey Bun. At first, I was a little unsure because swatching it, it looks quite almost yellow, but I quickly discovered that I actually really like this formula. It has been compared a bit to Hourglass. I would say the formula isn't the same. It feels almost harder than Hourglass. I guess it's probably not a good description, but it just feels like it's not quite the same baking process. It's not quite as finely milled, but it is Hourglass-like in that it is sheer and has a really pretty soft glow. And you can see how I have it on my forehead there. I feel like it is very, very nice. It adds warmth, but on me it doesn't turn orange. I think that this is a really nice launch from CoverGirl, which leads us right into the blushes. So I do have a face swatch video where I tried on all of the shades. Right now there are only 4 shades of blushes. Hopefully, if these get enough hype, CoverGirl will release more shades because that would be wonderful. I feel like they definitely went 2 different directions. We have 2 that are much more pigmented. Shade 420, Strawberry Drizzle, and shade 430, Berry Punch. So I will show you Strawberry Drizzle, very, very pigmented pink, and 430 Berry Punch, which is actually a really neat color. This is really, but it's also, again, quite pigmented. Whereas the other 2 shades I feel like are much more sheer and light. So first we have shade 400, Please Please Pink, which, I mean, you can see the difference. And then shade 410, Rose Latte, which I think this one's my favorite. I think you guys could probably guess that this one would be my favorite, the pinky neutral. And so there we have this one. Again, people are comparing these so much to Hourglass. I don't think they're a dupe, but they are an alternative. I do really, really like the level of glow in these. It's very soft and gentle. You're not gonna look metallic even if you put on a lot. Again, great choice for CoverGirl to release something like this. And again, hopefully they release more shades. Speaking of CoverGirl, picked up one of their products that's been out for a long time. This is the CoverGirl TruBlend So Flushed High Pigment Blush. I gotta be honest, this is actually a really nice blush. At first I was a little annoyed with my choice with the shade I picked up. This is the shade 320 Love Me. This is one of the classic pink blushes with gold shimmer. So you can kind of, yeah, you can see the gold there. But just looking at that there, I know it's kind of hard to tell, but the gold is actually really well done. Sometimes with blushes like this, the gold flecks are huge and it looks really glittery and sparkly. This, I feel like, is a much more wearable option for this kind of blush. And it honestly feels really soft. It's quite blendable. It's a really, really nice blush. I have no idea if these are gonna be staying around now that they've released a new blush, and I feel like these have been on sale, but I'm definitely tempted to pick up another shade because I gotta be honest, I didn't need another pink blush with gold shimmer. But again, being honest, it is really, really nice. Keeping on with blushes, so someone gave me another shade of this blush. So I've already have an all-time favorite in this formula in the shade Nude Tude. This is the NYX Sweet Cheeks Soft Cheek Tint Blush Mousse. But a friend of mine picked up this shade for herself. This is the shade Almost Famous. She decided this was not for her. She gave it to me. I was very interested to try it because it looks absolutely terrifying, doesn't it? But oh my, I have been so, I mean, I knew already that I love the formula. I just love that so much though. So it starts off terrifying. It blends out to be a really pretty orange blush. I know not orange blush is not for everyone. In the summer, I tend to love orange blush, same in the fall. The reason why I love this formula so much is because it's soft matte. It never looks like it's sitting on top of my skin. It blends out beautifully and it is long wearing and easy to use. Yes, it's pigmented, you only use a little bit, but even when I've used more than I should, I feel like it blends out beautifully. So if you've ever been wondering what this shade looks like, it's not as terrifying as you think once it's blended out. Now to the blush that I'm actually wearing. So I picked up a blush from Soshi. Soshi is a new brand to me. You can find them on Credo, and while Credo was having one of their sales during this past season, I decided to finally pick up one of their blushes. So I knew I was gonna like it because look, it's a squishy blush. I like squishy blushes for their blurring quality. I have yet to try one that is not blurring. This one is nice too because it has the type of packaging where you can pop this out and put another one in, so you can just buy the refill. That's always nice to see. And the compact is pretty too, this really pretty dark green. So I did go a little bit ham with the blush today. I am wearing a lot of it. It's one of those blushes that's really fun to put on. You could use your fingers or whatever brush you like to use. I tend to use kind of a dense blush brush like this, just kind of pat it in and pat it on. The shade I have is called Rosy Rest, which I really like, although I was upset because I think about a week after I got this, Soshi came out with a new blush shade, which is like their new neutral blush, and I was like, I would have gotten that one, but that's okay. This is actually really beautiful. What's interesting about this one that kind of sets it apart from others, it does feel like it's just really, really soft. It's got a very just fun texture to kind of just mess around with, but it's very smooth and quite pigmented. I mean, look at there. Wow. So if you're someone who prefers a pigmented blush, you're really gonna like this one. I like to compare bouncy blushes like this to my favorite from MAC, the Glow Play blushes. Now those are quite sheer. So if the sheerness is not your thing, you probably would enjoy these a lot more, but you still get that incredibly blurring, beautiful quality. Now I generally tend to stay away from the very, very pigmented blushes, but I still found this one to be very easy to control. I didn't go ham today because I couldn't control it. I went ham because so yeah, no surprise that I like this one. Let's talk about the eye product that I'm wearing. So I've been testing this. I know it just looks like a very pretty taupe shadow, but this is from Rituel de Fille. So this is called the Ash and Ember Eye Soot. I have the shade Half Light. This is such an interesting product. So it comes in a pot, but it isn't a cream, but it isn't just a plain powder either. It's powder that's been infused with oil. So it blends out really, really easily like a powder does, but it looks like a cream on my eyes. Like, I think it just looks really creamy. I found that my favorite way to apply it is I like to start with it on my finger first, then I will apply it and then blend it out with a brush, but just a little bit on my finger. Look at how much it spreads. The Ash and Ember Eye Soot is actually a really name for this. It's got kind of that kind of sooty quality, I guess, where it's just spreads and spreads and spreads. Like, I hope you can tell how pretty that texture is. I'm a big fan of powders that can look like creams. And of course, you know, I'm a huge fan of a taupe eyeshadow, a good everyday eyeshadow. Yeah, and this is one of those, I think. It is not super long wearing. It does wear much longer if you wear a eyeshadow primer, but I have tried it without the eyeshadow primer and it did crease fairly quickly, although I will say it creased prettily. I mean, you could just kind of tap it out and it was fine. But I do recommend an eye primer with this one to make it last longer. This little pot is gonna last me an eternity. I mean, that was just a little dip of my finger in there. These go a long way. This particular shade had been on my wish list for a very long time. I finally grabbed it again during the Credo sale, and I'm very happy I like it. This little thing wasn't cheap, even on sale, and I think it's very pretty. Okay, let's talk about highlighter. When Sephora put out their coupon for 20% off of anything for everyone, that is when I decided to go for something that I've had my eye on for a while. This is such a ridiculously overpriced product. So this is from Prada. I don't watch a lot of beauty content that just is focused around luxury, but I do follow a very specific couple of channels, and this caught my attention. So I did decide to use that coupon and pick up this highlighter. Look, is it worth the price? No, it's not. However, is it a very nice highlighter? Yes. I really, really like it. I'm gonna give you a finger swatch, so I'm gonna put some more on so you can hopefully see the texture. So just touching it, it feels quite creamy, even though it isn't like a cream. It is just one of those very creamy powders, and it is just glowy. There aren't sparkles in this formula, and I think that this would be a hit for a lot of people for that reason. I mean, I'm already wearing some, but I wanna show you how this looks. You're just applying glow. And I'm applying quite a bit here. You can really tone it down in comparison to what I'm doing. But it looks creamy on the skin. This particular shade is the light shade. So yeah, I'm happy with my ridiculous little splurge here. It is different from other things that I have. It's just a very creamy powder. It is scented, by the way, completely unnecessary. But you know, luxury makeup, they love to scent their products. Speaking of luxury makeup, okay. So I picked up something from Tom Ford. This went 50% off. And this is another product that had been on my wish list for a very long time. I managed to grab it before it sold out. Who knows what's going on with Tom Ford? I always feel like their things are getting discontinued, but then they come back. I don't know. In any case, this is the Terra bronzer. This is another one of those products that I just hear mentioned over and over again, and I finally fell for it. I have to tell you though, I really, really like this. It is a very soft and buildable formula, and this is the tone. So it's not nearly as yellow as the one I just got from Covergirl, but it's also not cool. It's a pretty neutral bronzer, and I like how it's not overly pigmented. It builds up just perfectly. And even though this is called the Glow Bronzer, there aren't any chunks of glitter or anything in it, but it is kind of just a healthy looking powder. It's not flat matte. And I'll admit it, this is really, really nice. I really enjoy it. Oh, I forgot I had some more highlighter to talk about. Okay, so I tried already another version of this from L'Oreal. So this is the L'Oreal Lumi Le Glow highlighter stick. I've already tried the version that's glassy. The other version that's glassy, it's very, very glassy. And I wanted to try the glowy version. So I picked up the shade 630 Glowy Cream Chic. And I fully expected to love this, but actually, I don't really. I think it has something to do with how the glitters are dispersed in this particular highlighter. It's not super glittery, but I find that when I blend it out, if I can even show that to you, but I find that when I blend it out on my cheeks, I see the glitter sitting on top. The actual formula is fine. It melts in nicely, and if you're not into like a glassy kind of wet looking highlighter, something like this would be more up your alley. But I think that there's better versions of this type of thing. When I immediately thought of like the ColourPop Super Shock highlighters, I would 100% go for that instead of this. There's just something about this that makes it just kind of mediocre to me. I was also testing the MAC Strobe Cream. Here's a very classic product. So I tested this just as we're using as a highlighter on the high points of my face, and also mixing with foundation. I like mixing this with foundation. The one I was testing it with was Estee Lauder Double Wear. This really thinned it out. It didn't make it incredibly glowy, but it made it not nearly so thick. And it just kind of gave it a very nice subtle glow, actually. It was very nice. But because it's Estee Lauder Double Wear, it wore like paint. So that's kind of a good option if you're looking for a really pretty glowy formula that isn't actually dewy and will still wear a long time. Mixing a product like this into a very long wearing foundation is the way to go. So this shade Pinklite, I'm actually really happy I have this particular shade. I think it's really beautiful. It's not necessarily ultra metallic, even though it kind of looks there in that kind of heavy swatch. But if you just use it on the high point of your cheekbones as a highlighter, it's actually quite natural looking, really beautiful. I like it. Let's talk about the mascara I've been testing. So the L'Oreal Extensionist. It is what I'm wearing today. And I like it. I like it quite a bit. I feel like the first week I had it open, it was a little too wet. It didn't do too much. But after it dried out just a little bit, this really came to life. I feel like it is a very nice lengthening mascara that also adds just enough drama. There were a couple of days where I wore this for a very long time, and I did have a little bit of smudging under my eye. So I have had L'Oreal mascaras that have worn better for me, but those were very long days. I should show you the wand. So this is what the wand looks like It's one of these slightly curved, non-fluffy wands. I feel like these wands, generally when you see them, it's for lengthening. I'm gonna happily continue wearing this through its 6-month life. I don't think it's knocked out my favorite though. I think I still prefer Lash Paradise. All right, one more product to talk about. This is a lipstick from MAC. So I have tried the Lustreglass formula from MAC before. I just love it so much. It's a sheer shiny lipstick, which tends to be the type of lipstick I go for. But I really wanted to try this shade called Signature Move. It's one that's been on a lot of social media, and it is what I'm wearing. It's one of those shades that can be a little hard to nail down. I think on Ulta, they actually call it grayish, which I don't think it looks grayish, but it definitely has like a cool brown-esque look to it. I like it. I think it's really pretty. Great for the fall and winter. It wasn't quite what I was after. I think I was after something with maybe a little bit more purple maybe? Or maybe just a little bit less brown, but I do still like it. Whew, well, I have been having a great time testing makeup this month. If you've been trying anything good and new, please let us know down in the comments. At the end of these roundup videos, I always like to share a good book that I've been reading, and I realized I didn't do that last month, and I think it was just because I didn't really have a good book. But now I have to tell you about one that I've been enjoying so much, and it's on Kindle Unlimited, which is great. This is the Emma M. Lyon books. I feel like these books have been getting a little bit of hype, which is great. This first one is really short. I know that the later books do get longer, but if you're looking for just kind of a palette cleanser, this is one of those good little books for that. As you could see from the title, this book series follows Emma M. Lyon. She's a young woman coming of age, and I don't think it specifically mentioned what year it is in the books, but it seems to be like Industrial Revolution England. But she has inherited a house, but no money. Well, she was supposed to have money, but her relatives, you know, totally ruined her inheritance. That's part of the major story of the first book. But now she has to figure out how she is going to manage to hold on to her house. The whole thing is so witty. Emma is a really likable character. If you're looking for something to make you smile and something that's just not too serious, this is it. Thank you for watching all the way to the end of the video. This is always where I like to share my tea of the day. I recently had a friend gift me a whole bunch of tea bags, and I have not tried this one before. From Teavana, their English breakfast tea. Man, do you remember the heyday of Teavana? I don't know what's going on with the brand now. Obviously they're still around, but it is exactly as you would expect. Classic English breakfast. Thank you to my friend for sharing with me. And again, thank you all so much. I really appreciate you being here with me on my channel. I'll see you again very soon in the next one. Bye.